Have you ever wanted the superpower to influence other people to do good in this world? Well, today, Pastor Laura is going to teach us how we could do that.
Hey Westlight, today I wanted to talk to you about this gift that God has given us to influence and to inspire others to be forces of His love and His grace and His peace and His justice in our world, no matter what is going on. And that gift that He's given us, that gift, that superpower that He's given us to influence and inspire, is the power of our words. And our words matter. Right? We know that our words matter. We saw that when Amanda Gorman shared her inaugural poem. The day after she shared her inaugural poem, she gained 300,000 Twitter followers. Like, she inspired so many. She touched so many hearts. But we know what it's like personally as we've had people speak into our lives and speak into our hearts and empowered us and inspired us to do and be better people. But we also know what it's like to have people kind of crush us and say things that are hurtful and harmful, that have really crushed our spirits. Do you know that it takes 5 positive comments to combat 1 negative comment? And so this negative comment, those harmful and hurtful words are so damaging. So let's read James 3, verse 1 and 2. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters. You know that we will be judged more severely. All of us make many mistakes after all. If anyone makes no mistakes in what they say, such a person is a fully complete human being capable of keeping firm control over the whole body as well. And I love what James is saying here. He's like, you know what? Nobody is perfect at this. We all say the wrong things. We all say hurtful things, whether we mean it or not. And there's that 1% that they're just evil and they want to hurt and they say mean, harmful, hurtful things. But all of us are that other 99%. Where we may not say anything intentionally, where we're out to hurt someone because we're evil, but we do it, and we all do it. No one is perfect at this. Okay, let's look at James. Let's look at verses 3 through 4. We put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, and then we can direct their whole bodies. Consider, too, the case of large ships. It takes strong winds to blow them along. But one small rudder will turn them whichever way the helmsman desires and decides. And so what James is saying is like, there's just this little thing, but it's so powerful, right? He uses the metaphor of the bit and the rudder. This little thing can turn the direction of this big, strong animal or of this big, strong ship in the midst of winds blowing. It's so powerful. Okay, let's read 5 through 8. In the same way, the tongue is a little member, but boasts great things. See how small a fire it takes to set a large forest ablaze? And the tongue is a fire. The tongue is a world of injustice, with its place established right there among our members. It defiles the whole body. It sets the wheel of nature ablaze, and it is itself set ablaze by hell. Every species of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature you see can be tamed, and has been tamed by humans. But no single human is able to tame the tongue. It is an irrepressible evil, full of deadly poison. So you guys, James is trying to paint this picture for us of how destructive our words can be. And we live in California and we know how destructive wildfires are, right? It just is one small spark. It can just set aflame acres and acres of land and destroy properties, homes, animals, and wildlife. And that's the picture that James is giving us. But I love how he says, that it's hard. He recognizes the challenge of it, and how hard it is to make sure that everything we say is perfect and nice and a blessing, right? So let's go on to James 3, 9, and 10. By it we bless the Lord and Father, and by it we curse humans who are made in God's likeness. Blessing and curses come out of the same mouth. My dear family, it isn't right that it should be like that. I think James was like the first therapist. He was like a therapist before he became the leader of the church, because he was like, what he's saying is, he wants our lives to be integrated. He doesn't want us to have these little compartmentalizations. This is who I am when I'm at church, and this is who I am when I'm at home, and this is who I am when I'm at work. But he's saying, like, look, he wants us to be integrated. So then he goes on in verse 11 and 12. Does a spring water put out both sweet and bitter water from the same source? Dear friends, can a fig tree bear olives, or a vine bear figs? Nor can salt water yield fresh. So what he's saying is our hearts are the source of where our words are coming from. So if our words are being hurtful and harmful, that means something inside us, our hearts are hurting. That somewhere we feel like we've been violated, or we've been hurt. And this is the time when, maybe if you grew up in the church, and I probably taught this too, that we shouldn't say bad things, right? And so we're like, okay, we got to be good Christians, and we got to say loving things, and we shouldn't say bad things about people, or we shouldn't swear, or we shouldn't say and then we're like, oops, we said it. And then we ask God for forgiveness, and we say, please, Jesus, help me not to yell at my kids, or please, Jesus, help me not to swear when I'm driving in my car or playing basketball. And then, we say it, and then we're like, oh, Jesus, forgive us. And we just kind of go in that cycle over and over again. Where James is like saying, no, it's not about your willpower. It's not something you can decide to do and all of a sudden start doing it. He's saying we got to get to the source of the problem. We need to examine the heart, because the heart is where the pain is. And that's why these harmful words are coming out. And sometimes we don't even know how we've hurt one another. Like, we use words that are loving, but to the recipient is very hurtful. And so I've heard a lot of talk about people wanting unity. And so they're like, but they don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about our differences. We don't want to talk about how we've hurt one another. But come on, people, let's just be unified. And they're like, that's hurtful. That's even more hurtful, even though we're trying to be loving. But really, unity is like, let's dig down. Let's connect heart to heart. And what's really painful, let's talk about it. Let's listen to one another, and let's really understand one another. And after we've done that, may that connection of the heart unify us. And even if we don't agree, may our commitment to one another as image bearers and image restorers unify us. Our microaggressions that we use can be hurtful, and we think, well, it's just a joke, or it's just a small thing, but it's very hurtful. Sometimes people attack us and they judge us, and so we judge back, and we react and we judge back, and we say something hurtful back. All of the circumstances reflect some kind of hurt, or as Tim said last week, some unmet need that we have in our hearts. And so what James is saying is that God is inviting us. He loves us, and he sees our hearts. And he's not saying you're bad because you said that, and why did you say that? Why don't you be a good Christian? That is not his tone at all. But he said, what's going on? Tell me about what's going on in your heart. And let's tend to that heart. And maybe there's some healing that needs to take place. Maybe there's some grieving that needs to take place, or some forgiveness, or maybe Maybe we need to have the hard conversation with the person that we feel injured by. But that's the kind of courageous work of grace and transformation that needs to happen in our hearts. Because God cares about our hearts. And when it's hurt, He wants to help heal and mend it and make us whole. And then from that place, as we experience that healing and transformation, then the words that we express can be words that inspire and influence, that can help even in our own healing as we experience our own healing and transformation, that God uses that to help others heal and transform. That's our superpower that He gives us to inspire others to love at greater capacity, to be people of grace, to be people of freedom and peace, and to bring more justice into this world by being who we are. And so I want to encourage us this week to, may God give us the courage and the grace to do the hard work, to maybe think about what are some of the ways that I have said things to my parents or my spouse or my children or my coworkers, or what have I said to that was harmful. And even to consider like some of the harmful things that we say to ourselves, right? Our judge inside of us can be so harsh, and our tone can be so harmful and just harsh. Maybe we need help to understand what is that harm that we experienced or that unmet need that we have. And as we heal, we will be transformed. And as we transform, the fruit of that, the result of that is we will be that. We will use our superpower for love and grace and peace and justice and freedom. And it won't be something that we're trying to do, but it'll be something that will naturally happen. And we'll be like, whoa, I am moving more towards blessing others and less towards cursing others. That I'm less apt to say something hurtful that I did a few months ago than I was now. That now I'm a lot different. And it's not from the trying, but it's from the transformation, the new that we are experiencing in Christ. We understand that when we mess up, that God is not that harsh judge that is scolding us. But no, He is a loving God who sees our hearts and longs to help us and walk with us and guide us through this healing process, this process of transformation, so that we can use the gift that He's given us. And our words matter. I love Amanda Gorman's, the last couple sentences of her poem. She said, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, and if only we're brave enough to be it." And so I pray that God would give us the grace and the courage we need, that He would use others to inspire us to do the hard work, to do the self-reflection and the self-examination, so that we can be that light, so that we can use our superpower to inspire love and grace and peace and freedom and justice in our world, wherever we are.